There we go.
That's quite nice.
I like you've got a new setup. You're not so blank in the background. You've got like a corridor and a little loungy spot for the eyes to rest on if they get tired of looking at your face. Nice.
That's precisely right.
Tell me all
I
about it, man.
you dressed up today.
I figure we're doing videos, so I figured I'd put on a little slimming little blazer, so that if without this, I'm just, slobbing
Without
red
with,
shirt.
without the slimming blazer, you're morbidly obese.
I'm just sitting here. It's just like, hey, what's up, dude? I started a podcast, and you were doing a little talking, and see, my face goes like this, and then when I put this on, all of a sudden it's very elegant.
Yes.
Makes all the difference in the world, mate. All the difference.
Yes, that blazer is quite elegant, I must say.
It is, isn't it? I really
Yeah.
like it. I bought it right before I left Los Angeles. I had needed some soul skin, you know what I mean? Little change of scenery comes with a little soul skin, but then now I need to lose a few pounds to really be able to go out in the world with it. So for right now, it's just like nice top crop framework
we're,
right here.
we're literally both wearing shirts that
No
don't fit.
pants. We're just shirt cocking on the show for you.
That's exactly the same way that I feel about this fleece that I'm wearing.
Hey,
I gained a few
you want to
pounds.
see my pussy? You want to see my pussy?
Yeah. Oh, hilarious. Oh, so funny. Hello, kitty cat.
It's a real cat for the people without the video. There's a real cat. I just tilted my frame to reveal at crotch level an actual kitty cat.
An actual pussy. A real pussy.
I thought I saw. No, you're right. You saw what you saw. You saw what you thought.
Yes. Yeah. So we're both wearing things that don't fit us, but only on Zoom. The Zoom fit. The Zoom fat fit. Zoom fat fit.
That's right. This is a good time to bring up your sponsor, Sheath Underwear, perhaps.
Is this a good time to plug them? Do you want to do a Sheath promo? I'll give you 1% of all sales.
I don't. I just figured you've been going hard. You've been going hard on the underwear sales, man.
Well, they treat me well.
We're putting on a show. It's all about cognitive liberties, but also here's some underwear. Which that's you can't have cognitive liberties without underwear.
You can't get your cognitive liberties here. Get your cognitive liberties. Put them. We got sizes small, extra small, extra double small. Yeah.
One size fits small.
There's a lot of things that need to be changed. I think my show description. I remember when I had Ramin on my show. He goes, yeah, your website. You got like a lot of spelling errors in your bio, and I was just like, oh yeah. I should probably fix that.
It's great when your guests come on your show and they turn it into a platform to critique you and your platform. Yeah. Hey, well, it's good. Great to be here on the show. There's something I've been meaning to tell you this whole time. Your banner, it needs a little something. Also, can you speak a little louder? It's like, all right, thanks, dude. Also, you think about plucking your eyebrows? It's a radio show. There's no visual. Yeah, but like, it's so, I can hear it. I can hear your unibrow your two brows chafing against each other at the center there.
I welcome all constructive criticism, feedback, all of it. Anyway, I've been holding Hoppe in my hand, so I'm gonna do that. Yeah, I'm gonna do that now because I'm holding it. So
Hoppe, for those who do not know, it's spelled the same as rape, but with a little accent on the E.
That's true.
Without the accent, oftentimes people will be promoting Hoppe culture the wrong way. But that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, keep flowing with that.
Oh, keep going. While you take it up the nose, you want me to keep?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna rape my nose.
In the meantime, while Mike here is rapping his nose holes, I'll be here promoting this lovely little tea that I'm drinking, which is a mix between the oolong tea Kuan Yin and a little bit of jagulan, also known as genistema, but they don't call it that because it sounds like a yeast infection or something like that. Sorry, did I was hoping that the milk was gonna come right out your nose, but it's not working. He's in the sacred space laughter cannot penetrate. The only thing that can penetrate the sacred space is the caripe, which is the applicator for the hape, which also can be mispronounced. So, some people, they go into rape culture using a creep, but it's really hape culture with a caripe. So, emphasis is half the battle, you know what I mean? Or the battle, or whatever, I don't know how to pronounce. We're in a war on cognitive liberties here on Mycadelic.
Yes.
Yes. Man, this show really took a turn. It used to be such a class act. It was just Mike occasionally, sucking on a vape pen. Now he's like snorting tobacco dust in the middle of the show. I'm sorry, I can't go on with the conversation. Give me a second to re-up on my ethereal earth and uptake, and we'll be right back. Actually, no, we're not going to go to commercials. We're just going to do it right now. Imagine if all these... That's what television show hosts, when they cut the commercials, that's really what it is. They're just doing a line of Coke or like shooting up real quick. And we think they are. Like, oh, this whole thing is corporately sponsored. It's just, but that's really what it is. It's just covering their habits.
Oh yeah. Jimmy Fallon is a known Coke fiend.
Really?
Oh yeah, he loves the blow and he loves the booze. Friend of mine, friend of a friend, stand-up comedian Nate Bargatze, used to hang out with Jimmy Fallon all the time, and he would get boozed up just every night.
I can see that. I wasn't expecting him to be. He seems like a family.
I maybe I made the Coke part up, but it's oh, we're freezing. We're freezing.
Friends of friends, right? We'll thaw it out in post.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
I said, what's a little slander between friends of friends?
Hey, everybody, how's it going? All right, welcome back to the Jimmy Fallon Show. Hey, we got today's guest is Void Denizen, the ungoogleable Michelangelo. Michelangelo, thanks for coming in. We got the Roots playing in my bathtub over here, socially distanced. Take it away. Hey.
Where would you like me to take it?
So you're in you're a painter. You're a painter. You paint. So tell me. So how's your latest painting going?
Well, to tell you the truth, Jimmy, I haven't really been painting that much lately, but I did go for a little walk in the rain last night and had myself a little existential romance with myself. Trying to cross the street where the asphalt turned to the texture of snail skin glistening in what I was going to call moonlight, but really just street light. And I had to plot my way across the crosswalk to find a way that wouldn't sop up my socks and shoes. So I had to jump on the little islands of asphalt that stuck up from the puddles and had a little shimmy across the sidewalk ledge there, and thought to myself, this reminds me of a time before social media.
Wow.
When social media would just cock block our interface between ourselves and unabridged reality,
Oh my God, that's so great. Wow. This show is brought to you by Raytheon and Lockheed Martin. All right, we're going to go to have a word from our sponsors.
What is Raytheon? Is that a real thing?
Yeah, you don't know what Raytheon is? It's the number 2 weapons manufacturers.
Number 2, we make the shit weapons.
Number 2, we try to get to number 1, but number 1, Lockheed Martin is number 1. They make the biggest missiles, the bombs, and then we
I always thought Lockheed Martin was a bank. Why have I been giving them all my money?
All right, we're back here now. The Cognitive Liberty Patriots Hour. We have one of the true American patriots right here, the ungoogleable Michelangelo. Why is he ungoogleable? Because he hides from the DMT entities that try to extract all of our souls. Michelangelo, how are you?
I'm doing quite all right. Do you mind slowing it down a bit, Alex? I find it really hard to keep up with you if you rattle it off at such a fast and gravelly rate.
Terrence, now finally tell me about these DMT entities, the elves, the clockwork elves.
Well, it's a funny story, Alex, because I feel that a lot of people may have misunderstood what I'm trying to divulge. Whenever other people start speaking about self-transforming machine elves, they've given it all away, you see. They're still following someone else's roadshow. The whole point of the DMT space is once you go into the emptiness, you have to come out and extract your own interpretations, unstained by preordained elfin amplitude. That's not the word. I lost it. All right, never mind.
That's
Leave
fantastic.
the dead rest. Leave the dead to rest.
Leave the dead to rest. That's fantastic. That's terrific. We're on the Jay Leno show now. At kind of a Jay Leno, sort of a Mike Tyson. It's Mike Tyson, Jay Leno, and Mike Tyson. We both had DNA fused together, so it's Jay Leno Tyson coming at you live here. Jay Leno Tyson.
He's gonna punch him right on the chin. Punch him right on the chin. Man, that's the thing, man. I saw a little clip in the interverse of old man Tyson just grokking a handful of mushrooms on the Logan Paul show. Now, there's so much wrong with that sentence. First of all, the Logan Paul show, or what is it called? I don't even know what it's called. It's like impulsive. A bad pun with Paul in it. Impulsive. I mean, how does this dude still have a platform, first of all, after like commodifying people hanging themselves and then he's got Tyson on his show, who is, even though kind of a brilliant fighter and character, is also like a known rapist. And cancel culture just isn't doing what it's supposed to be doing. What if he's not a rapist? What if he's just a hobbyist? What if all this time
the misinterpretation? That's a misinterpretation. I was doing rape. Everyone thought I was doing rape.
All this
time, but it's a misinterpretation.
And also, he wasn't actually a boxer. He's just like a guy that put boxes together at a factory.
I put boxes
the whole time we've got Mike Tyson on. Yeah, but he had like his big frog medicine breakthrough at some point, right?
Yeah, the toad.
Interesting to see this. The toad.
The toad told me it's all love. It's all love. The toad. Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's actually, I immediately came in to like condemn him with like some preconceived notion, but I really did enjoy hearing that and seeing his transformation. And great. I think sure, the Pauls, let them have their thing, but the fact that he was just taking like a handful of mushrooms on the show, I just think to myself, like, I wouldn't want to be around Mike Tyson once the 4 grams of mushrooms hit. You know what I mean?
I would.
That just seems like a lot.
Yeah, what does it do to a person like that? Like, what is he like?
I don't know. Maybe I should check out the rest of that show. I mean,
he has his own podcast.
I just love that the show probably ended an hour later.
Yeah, he has his own podcast called Hot Boxing with Mike Tyson, and it's him and his co-host, who is
Adam.
Of a
good title.
Yeah, and it's well done. It's black and white, and they smoke blunts the whole time, and it's so funny that the contrast.
Yeah, because he has his own cannabis company, right?
Yeah, I got my own cannabis company. My co-host Adam Egret, and Adam is like, yeah, hi, hello, Mike. He kind of sounds like Snuffleupagus. He has this like, yeah, that's like Mike Tyson was telling this story to Exhibit on the podcast. He's like, well, I'm at this one time I took mushrooms and I was with this prostitute, and then this thing happened, and then and he tells this like wild story. I got a golf club and I was chasing this guy around, and then his co-host is like, yeah, well, they're also good for healing, Mike. The healing properties of psychedelics are really what's important to talk about now, not about, beating a prostitute with a golf club. He's like, yeah, but that shit was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
I need to expand my podcast universe. There's only like a few things I tune into. There's too much freaking content out there these days. I find I have a really hard time. Just like my attention is just vying for, yeah, exactly. It's just hard to keep it together, man. Mike is drifting off into the distance towards the little resting spot corner. But yeah, there's so much content. That's also why I try to put out a show a month. Oftentimes I lag. Right now I'm kind of like upping the ante and trying to put out a little more, but it's just I can't imagine somebody being able to keep up with all of it. It's just there's just so much. And then I like download some audiobook to try and keep up, and then I'm reading something, and then maybe I'll watch something. It's just the attention is so scattered. Everything is vying for our attention.
Yeah, well, you're an amateur. You know, what can I say? I mean, I keep up with all of it, and I go completely insane. Every night ends with me like this.
And that's the face of success right there.
That's the face of digesting all of the day's internet information.
How are your dreams?
My dreams? I've dreams.
Dream?
Yeah.
Do you dream? Do you even dream, Mike?
I dream.
Do you remember your dreams?
Yes, I do. And I write them down. Yeah.
What kind of pen do you use? Do you use the fountain pen? Do you use Bic? You like Bic? You like the clicky Bics? What kind of pen do you use? You use a quill and parchment. Just dip it into the inkwell on the desk.
I poke my finger with a thimble and I write it in blood, so I remember.
Yes, the only way to gather your dreams properly is to write them in blood on a parchment made of your own dried skin. with a little satchel of nail clippings there just for the hell of it.
That's right. That's right.
Yes, a true writer, a true dreamer.
Blood, the original ink. It's brought to you by
Blood, by Bloody Underwear. This is brought to you by Bloody Underwear.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say your sponsor's name there because I don't want to like blend or slander any brands.
No, that's how Sheath gets that red for their most famous boxer brief.
For the sword, right? Because it has a little sword holder. The only underwear with a sword holder. Tired of having your saber just dangling a willy-nilly? Try Sheath underwear. I'm flipping, I'm flopping, I'm loving it.
yeah, exactly.
It's a little Seinfeld throwback from before.
Giddy up.
From before Kramer was cancelled. But I think they brought it back. Did you see? I only saw a little clip of it. Michael Garfield shared it on the Twitter. That Seinfeld did a little reunion in the style of Twin Peaks: The Return.
Oh, no way. Really?
Yeah, it looked very cool. I watched a tiny little clip, but I'm a big fan of the Twin Peaks universe and big fan of the Seinfeld, so I like the mashup.
How did they do a Twin Peaks style return?
Well, Mike, you start off by getting a lot of TV static and somebody just sitting in the flickering light of the TV and staring at it. And then there's a Kramer is now president kind of thing, but you use a freeze and then you put some music underneath it. And some other things that are Twin Peakish.
All right.
I don't know how they did it, but they did it, and it is checkable. I just realized that moment just there is going to be even more awkward if people who just have audio. I pity the fools. I pity the fools who just have audio because they're going to miss out on so much. So they should really go to wherever this video is going to be posted. Probably your Patreon, I imagine.
That's right.
Patreon plug. This is just a show full of plugs.
Yeah.
Hair plugs, butt plugs.
Right. Sponsored by
underwear
butt
plugs.
Yeah.
Just generic butt plugs. No brand name.
If
just
anybody
like
has
they do the job. I'm sure there's
people because people do have a lot of weird sponsors.
Weird sponsors, from my heart and from my hands. Why don't people understand my intentions?
This is brought to you by toilet paper. Look at that toilet paper.
Ooh, that's a relic of the past. Did I tell you the story of the cursed bidet at the beginning of the pandemic?
Brought to you by weed.
I thought
Tell
those
me
were
about
green butt plugs. Yeah, so when I was still living in Los Angeles before I had my great escape at the end of the summer, my roommate, his girlfriend moved in with us, and she brought with her her cat and a bidet that she got to install in our toilet, in our water closet. And at first, this seemed like a great idea because of the toilet paper scarcity that was at hand. And shortly thereafter, my roommate got sick and had to go to the ER. And we thought, is it COVID? Is it COVID? Is it? Nope, it's not COVID. And it turned out it wasn't COVID. It was an abscess caused by the bidet. An abscess on his ass caused by the bidet. So, irony there. There's irony.
How does that happen? I thought bidets are supposed to be good and it's just
That's
water,
what they tell you, man. That's what Big Bidet tells you.
Fucking big bidet.
Big Bidet will tell you these things. No, there's dials. Okay, let's put it like this. There's dials, and you can set the strength of it, etc. So I can imagine somebody with maybe like some Star Trek influence or whatever is gonna like just like crank it up a little bit or just like play around a little bit. And I don't know what happened exactly. I don't want to get too deep into it. It's not my ass. I'm not gonna speculate too much, but the bidet did a bad thing. And in the end, when I moved out of the place, I left the bidet and I got charged a removal fee for the bidet. So the bidet was cursed. Bidet was cursed.
Hey, bidet.
Bidet was cursed. Bidet was cursed. That's all I gotta say. That's
So
all I gotta say about the bidet.
Cursed bidet.
Cursed bidet.
Well,
I do this thing, where one thing I dislike on social media generally is when birthdays come up and you just get a wall scroll full of generic birthday wishes. So I always try to think up clever ways to wish people a happy one. And one of the things is I created a meme. I found a stock photo of this guy who was basically like cozied up next to a toilet bowl, and he's got like the stupidest face, but like such a happy grin, and he's just like thumbs up with it. And then I put on there, "Happy bidet," like happy B-day.
Yeah, that's good.
So that was for a while my prompt. But then a couple years go by and you're wishing the same people happy birthday and you're wondering like, did I already do the bidet on them? So then I've switched it over to something else now, which I'm not going to give away right here, because then whoever I haven't wished their birthday that way yet, and it's not going to be a nice surprise anymore. And they're going to be like, oh, that's just a template that he's using on different people. So you know how it goes. Got to keep some things a secret, eh?
Yeah. Well, I'll just.
How's your drawings going, man? You were asking me about paintings. How are your drawings going since your psilocyber space explorations?
Yeah, not bad. I feel a little overwhelmed by Procreate because I feel like there's just so many options. There's so many things to learn and do.
Oh no, sex is something that just completely co-opts the mind, and it makes it hard to get anything done. I totally feel you on that, man.
Yeah.
Oh, the program.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You feel overwhelmed by it, really?
Not overwhelmed by it, but just no, it's cool. I feel like it's really intuitive, but I just feel like, oh my God, there's so many things that I can like learn and do on here. And but I've just been kind of drawing on it. And like I'm making like little doodles or what I was doing when I was younger, where I stopped drawing, was I would always draw like comic book characters. Just sort of like, like or I would make up my own, but just like in a pose or in like a position. So that's kind of what I'm doing, is drawing like DMT guy and like wizards and things like that. Yeah.
Inspired by your experiences generally.
Yeah, sort of.
Loosely,
a little bit. Yeah. Here, let me see if I could find one.
Yeah, let's see one. Hey, show us your wizard.
I don't know why I thought that was so funny, but it made me laugh. Show me your wizard.
Show me your wizard. Oh, look at the pointy head on that one. Hey, wave your wand. Ooh, yeah, there's the dog head. There's Newbie. Well, that's nice, dude. Yeah, you're feeling it out.
Feeling it out. Yep.
You checking out all the different brushes?
Yeah, checking out all the different brushes and stuff. This is like
here's you want a quick philosophical art lesson. Ooh, that's nice, dude. I love that. It's a great composition.
Thank you.
Two wizards in the field, blasting purple beams from their scepters into a sky of teal.
This is something that I like to do. Is that like do these like lines?
Ooh, I like this texture. It's all about texture and color, my man. So I have this saying, Rome falls 9 times an hour. No, that's not my saying. My saying is, hold on, nice sound of the tea trickle. Show us your visit. Show us the visit. What does it say at the bottom there? A good baby.
It says big God baby brain boy.
I like it. That's kind of Tim and Eric feeling. You could turn that into a whole bit. But so my saying is every brush has a language embedded in its bristles. And of course, these are digital bristles. Oh, look at that stony dude with a stump. Stumpy the stoner right there.
Yeah.
Gotta hand it to him. He can't hand it to you.
Every bristle has a language.
It wasn't me. It was the one-armed man, said the one-armed man to the law enforcement.
Yeah, every... Ooh, yeah, well, there's another one. Cool. I like how it's got the halo from your ring light surrounding it. I see what you mean. That's kind of like got a Thor Viking-esque quality to it.
I really like
shamanic Viking characters are big these days.
I like gotta get on that. Sponsored by Shamanic Vikings.
Yeah, sponsored by Q.
Yeah, sponsored by
one of the last letters of the alphabet, and it's followed by anon, which means soon to come. So back to my my tutorial. Every brush has a language embedded in its bristles, and what that comes down to is that if you can let the medium, whatever your medium is, whether it's a paintbrush or a digital brush or an instrument or whatever it may be, if you can allow it to do its thing and just observe the way it behaves, even language, just observe the way language behaves, then you yourself become the medium through which the tools express themselves. And it becomes more about listening than about projecting. And then what's left from that interface is a creative product that has been, shall we say, channeled, but only in the sense that it's no longer coming from a pre-thought out condition and then worked out, but it's actually you become an instrument in a process and a confluence of media. You know, like there's all these different facets that are conspiring and working together to concentrate itself into a piece of novelty that's born into the world. So I highly recommend or I encourage and invite you to play around with all the different brushes and see how they express themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll be like, oh, this brush, you like, let's say you know how to use a pencil, and then you have like a scraggly old brush and you try to use it the same way. It's like, no, just like go chaotic with it. See how the thing feels good. See how, does it make a nice sound? You know, like focus on the economy of just getting rid of the paint that you put on there. And then when that's gone, put more paint and get rid of that. And by the end of it, see how that's naturally organized itself on the page or canvas or the human skin, if that's your game. You know.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Human skin is my game. I like to do the human skin and blood thing. And
that's right. We were talking about that.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like if we want to take it up a little bit, then some excrement could be.
That's a little too political for me.
Oh, sorry.
Do you know that's again that number 2 weapons dealer bit? You know?
Raytheon.
Torpedo launchers. Launching turds. The number 2 weapons supplier of the world.
That's not even that was like an accent. That was like a world accent. It like leaned a little bit towards this, a little bit towards that. That's because I was completely channeling that from my multicultural environs.
Yeah. So I
Did you
just sent
just send
you.
me a shop link?
No. Shop link. What are you talking about?
I thought it was a link to your shop.
Oh no, it's
Yeah,
just
it
art.
is. MikeBrang.com shop art.
Yeah, but it's
But in
not
the middle
shop.
of the show, you're gonna try and sell me something, huh? That's how this is gonna go. I come on your show, and then in the middle of it, you're gonna try and sell me something. All
That's
right.
This is a new. This is a new segment of my podcast. Is where I send you things.
The show must go on, but can't go on until you buy something, my guest. All right. I didn't know it was gonna go this way, but
persuade the guest to buy.
All right.
No, I sent you. It's not a shop. I don't know why it says shop. It's probably just something wrong with the hyperlink. But it's art that I've made, not on the iPad. And so if you scroll down, I know there's like a big video there. But if you scroll past the video, it's just all stuff. But I'm sending that because all these things that I've drawn, usually that's how they sort of come about, is through that process that you're talking about, especially this one called The Devil Goes Down to Paris. Like I don't know how I made that. I just started doing things. And when I finished, I remember one of my friends was like, you need to get out of my apartment. What did you just draw? That's fucking, what did you do? And I'm like, I don't know what I did.
My friend, is an endorsement to your success. When somebody sees your art and they don't want you around anymore, that means you have done your job well. Or, well, you've done your job. Now get out.
But I always find that to be the best way to go about it. Like when I'm drawing on paper with the iPad, it's a little different. But I'll start drawing something and then even erasing something, or like seeing something beneath the paper, maybe another drawing on the backside, and then it gives me an idea to draw something. And I'm drawing something that I didn't even know that I like. I hate sitting down and going, I never do this. I'm gonna draw this today. It has to come from something.
You had me at I hate sitting down, bro. Like I feel you, man. I just tired of it.
Yeah,
I'm a stand-up guy, you know what I mean? Like, but yeah, I hear you on that. For a while, when I was living in San Francisco, my girlfriend lived up a hill. So when I'd get off the bus, I'd go on this trek up this hill, and there was always this one little spot, which was, I think, outside of like an art school or workshop place or something. And there would always be these discarded canvases with children's paintings on them. And I love them. I pick them up and I'm just like, free canvas to paint over. But then when I paint over it, the textures and backdrop of what the child had primed would be what would kind of jumpstart my own imagination or expression. Or sometimes I would even just like add to what they had done. Like I have this one piece, it's these 3 little stamped blotches that look like little bear faces, and I just added the faces to it. So like little things like that. It's just it's fun to alter. I call it revisionary art. You know, when you take something and add to it, revise it.
Yeah, totally. But do you also experience that feeling of, like seeing things in the clouds, right? Seeing things in the paper, seeing things with the pen strokes or the brush strokes. You're like seeing things in there, and then that's
my main mode. It's a pareidolia. It's called. It's
pareidolia.
Pareidolia, which means something like with image or what is para? Is para above image? Images from above, images coming from above. Well, it's that sense that in the random patterning and random chaos, we're going to impose meaning and find faces and find forms and shapes. And I actually have a whole philosophy around that, surrounding the nature of hallucination and the notion that nature itself is a kind of is the matter of mind, because it's this elemental randomness in which the mind, when projected outwards, can grapple and grasp and form and shape. So it becomes this elemental communication through which the mind is made manifest. So I always use that as my guiding force.
Right, like with the shadows or the paint spilled on the gravel.
Exactly. Yeah, that the whole idea of that was called stain spotting, which there's actually like a whole philosophy behind it, because the notion, well, it's not a notion, it's a fact that everything we take in through the senses get processed through the brain and then projected back, quote unquote, outwards, and is immediately apprehended as an objective reality when unquestioned. But if you wander around the streets and you keep your eyes on the stains on the sidewalk, which are basically like cloud forms at ground level, you start seeing faces and forms in those. And I would carry a piece of chalk and I would outline those. And, usually a chalk outline signifies where the dead have fallen, but I used it as a way to signify where the imagination arises, because to me, the imagination is the realm of the dead. It's where your loved ones live on in your imagination and how you imagine them. And sometimes that's so vivid that you can even smell them if they were particularly pugnant in life. And pugnant, is that a word? Repugnant? Pugnant?
I believe the word you're looking for is...
If days was smelly.
Pungent.
What was my word? Pungent. That's it. Telepath, you are telepath. Yeah, if they are particularly pungent, you might be able to even, find the olfactory imagination arising. But it's like an interface where you take the limitation or the obstacle of the material world, and you use it as a springboard into the meta-real world, which is the world of your own unconscious speaking to you. So these forms that come up show you very tangibly that the world is being filtered through your brain and projected back outwards. And sometimes, like, I know cities by their stains. Like, when I walk around here in Florida, I walk around this golf course, and there are these particular, I'm doing it with trees a lot now. I'm doing it with trees. I used to be a tree hugger. Now I'm a tree fucker. I just stick it. I wander around and I see the same.
Siri just got activated. Wait. Shut up, Siri. All right, you froze. Now you froze.
And so I keep wandering around and see this. Am I moving again?
You're good. Yeah.
Okay. I see the same trees that I've already mapped. Like, now I just take a photograph, put them in my iPod, and I procreate with them. Because, like I said, I used to be a tree hugger, now I'm a tree fucker. And I bring these forms to the forefront with very little embellishment. Like, most of it's already there. But now when I walk this round, I see these same elemental personalities every time. So it reminds me that it's being filtered through the brain, because most people walk around and they don't even see the elemental forms. They see the word, and the word obscures their perception from the actuality. It keeps them in a kind of lexical simulation where they see a tree.
What word? Oh, you mean
word, tree? They see a tree. Like, for instance, my father looks at the sky. Yeah. My father looks at the sky and he sees clouds. Very generic form. Cloud. He just sees clouds, and clouds mean it might rain, or they are obscuring something. I look and I see a kind of elemental mass of hydrogen oxygenescence clinging together just barely to create this shape that's almost like this unidentified cloud-cloaked vessel moving through space that interacts with my intention and my mind, absorbs my mental matters and projects them back at me to show me what's on my mind. It's like a symbiotic relationship between the clouds. I believe are our step siblings, because both of us rose from the ocean. We are both the dreams of the sea, but we are born of the ocean and the earth, and they are born of the ocean and the sky. So we move alongside each other and have this symbiotic relationship. But at some point, the clouds became villainized when we became, obsessed with fire, and they rained down on our parade and they put out the fire. And since then, we've had weather reports saying clouds are coming. We better stay inside, all that stuff. Anyway, I digress.
Yeah. So, I mean, I remember you showed me one of those images. Well, I've been seeing them, the trees, and then you sent me one when I was in Florida, actually, because I was noticing all those trees too. And I immediately saw, I see the faces in them, so, and then you're just kind of embellishing it a little bit on Procreate, but not too much.
I'm like a Lorax. I speak for the trees.
You speak for the trees. Yeah. So, I mean, do you think, what's fascinating to me is there was a guy that I was speaking to recently who said he has no visual imagination. He can't see.
Is he blind? Is he blind?
No. He only understands things in like ways of, he has no mind's eye, no visualization. I believe that there's like a term for it too. I forget. It's called something.
Asshole. He's an asshole. I think that's the proper the scientific term for it.
Well, it's not his
Yeah,
fault.
no,
Born that way.
I find that very hard to imagine. So it looks like I've got the it's contagious. I'm finding it hard to imagine somebody who can't imagine something that's hard to imagine. We better stop talking about this guy. He's gonna make us all dull.
The imagination.
Yeah, but what does that mean? Like
bad guy.
You can't perceive a pattern in.
He says that he does. He says that he doesn't see things visually
At all. Like if he looks around, he doesn't see.
No, when he looks around and he sees things in front of him, he sees it. And he's like, oh, okay, yeah, I see the tree. The tree's in front of me, but he can't like imagine like the tree and how it grew to be a tree, or the squirrels playing on the tree, or just imagining more to it, like in his mind. A bit, whatever, the ants walking, oh, the tree becomes alive and it starts walking. Like, he's just like, no, it's a tree.
What do you mean? It's plain right there. What do you mean? Just imagine the tree is just its roots are coming out of the ground and becoming like tentacles. No, I don't see that. That's not happening. What do you mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
I can't. No, that's a lie. Right. It sounds like there might be a bit of a spectrum going on there. You know what I mean? Taking things a little literally there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
But apparently, some people have that.
Yeah.
Which is a shame.
Yeah, shame on them. But I'm sure they have some other gift that maybe will enhance our view of the world. There was actually a great documentary.
Oh.
You go ahead. We both said great, so there's some greatness between us.
I would say that the guy that can't see things in his mind's eye, that has no imagination, would be a great villain, like a superhero villain. I can't see any imagination, so the whole world will go black.
Exactly. Yeah. Make everything as is. Well, there's a great documentary that's actually about autism, and it's told from the perspective of an autistic person. It's called In My Own Language. And the first half of it is literally just footage of this person, like their finger interacting with a stream trickling from the faucet, or like these kinds of things, just interacting with inanimate objects. And it seems just like, oh, wow, this person's, on one. And then the second part of it, it's the person has written out their thoughts, and it's played back in this kind of computerized voice. And they tell you in their own language how they are interacting with this world and how they are perceiving it. And that everything kind of has personality and agency in their mind, which, comes down again to that, what I was saying about allowing becoming a medium for the different tools. It's if you give agency to your inanimates and to your elemental surroundings, it gives you an opportunity to interact with the alienated parts of yourself. And it's kind of a fragmented move towards wholeness, even though the outside world might think you're a little eccentric or a little off center or off color. But that's a risk I'm willing to take. Yeah.
I mean, because I was just saying, like, that villain that I was making up, like, it kind of already is that way with I don't even know what to call it anymore. All these things are now like buzzwords now, like the mainstream paradigm, culture, dominant culture or whatever. It's just the
controlling of a narrative. And like if you're watching the news, it's never the Bill Hicks broadcast, right? The young man on acid realized we're all matter's energy condensed to slow vibration. Yeah. It's never something like that that's going to expand. It's always a contraction of consciousness.
Or get normal. Be normal. Perception.
I mean that's the thing I find. I watch Seth Meyers' Closer Look a lot of times because it's funny at times and it gives me like little packages of news in an entertaining manner. But there's oftentimes this like villainization of things that are eccentric. Like for instance, Trump gets attacked a lot ad hominem, just on his personality and for his
homily, great guy, fantastic guy,
great, excellent hummus, mortar and pestle, makes it all himself.
But yeah, I just find him like attacking this. the abnormalcy of, there's like, this is not a normal person wouldn't do this. Like, who wants a normal person? Like, that's the one thing I find actually entertaining or interesting about a character like that, is that they are doing things differently. Like, I think we need more of that, rather than this, like, a politician should color within the lines of expectation. I digress before people think I am some kind of Trump supporter amidst this second impeachment that is happening right now. So I'm actually a non-political entity, so I'm just going to step back before people think I'm outside of history. So, yeah, I'm just going to
Well, no one's gonna mistake you for that, because we all know deep down in your heart that you are 100%
shaman.
not.
Sorry, yeah, 100% not that.
Not that. But yeah, I know. Yeah, it's like one of the things that annoys me the most is when criticism of other people is just this. Oh, really? Oh, okay. Now he's doing that.
Or
now?
you just went there. You just went there. You just did that.
They went there. That's where they went.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Like, that seems to be John Oliver's main thing. Like John Oliver's show. He's like, really? Is that where we're gonna go? Like Mary fucking Poppins flying through the sky? Really?
Is it an umbrella? An umbrella?
Yeah. Or like whatever.
People take an airplane.
Yeah, I just don't find that.
This man is brought to you by airplanes. And like,
you do something. You do something weird, and you do something funny. I hate this herd to normalization. Let's just say, haha.
There was. I'm gonna see if I can pull this up.
Loaded right there.
Through a little catchphrase search on my Facebook.
You have a catchphrase program. You put it in, it says, "Get to the chopper."
That was brought to you by that was a
Get to the chopper. Yeah, so, they're coming. You have to go.
Where posts? I'm gonna see if I'm gonna put in normal. I'm putting in posts, and I'm gonna put in posts by me, because I wanted to see if there's. I had a critique on a critique on a meme once, because I feel like sometimes memes give us a sense of, instead of contemplation, they just give us like a templative mode through which we can think. And I noticed something in this one particular meme that I found kind of something or other. Wow, my search it's all so slow. Anyway, let me see if I can
segment memes that I found
memes that I found and had an issue with. I love the idea of introducing new sponsors and new segments all the time. Because some people are really good with like Ramin is really good with creating these 10 seconds of silence, and then I introduced the 10 seconds of glossolalia to his platform that lives on to this day.
Oh, great, nice.
And I don't do that, so sometimes I'll do, but I'm not sure if this is going to come up. So maybe I'll have to just see if I remember how I felt about it. I think it was in relation to that meme that's like nobody. It's like nobody.
Right.
And then me, and then it's usually somebody who says something like out of the ordinary. And basically I feel like that meme demonizes, again, eccentricity. The sense of like nobody says this, and then here I come with this thing that's outside of the box, and it's like, oh, why can't you be more normal kind of thing? It's again this
I just imagined that you have a
normalphilia. We call it normalphilia.
Normalphilia. Yeah, normalphilia. I'm imagining that you have a folder on your desktop titled memes that made me feel a certain way.
I'm storming the Capitol. We're gonna take a stand against these memes.
You like put on your reading glasses. You're like, "Where's that meme that got me all worked up?" Yeah, but I know exactly what you mean. I do. It's just annoying. I don't know. It's weird.
Oh, what's annoying? Say that again.
Yeah, nobody. Me. Yeah.
Nobody. Teapot.
Yeah, nobody, and then like, the Oh my God, I saw an ASMR yesterday. You do a little ASMR for us folks over here.
What kind of tea is he drinking? Shh, quiet, listen to it. It's very nice. So there is a quality to Amazonian shamanism that is very ASMR. The way the shaman primes the canvas of his song, it starts off in this almost like microscopic psychic surgery with like that gets you to tune in so closely to this like shamanic ASMR frequency that just like attunes you to the prickle of your skin, to the like most subtle of sensations, which also feels to me like that chalk outline around the body that then gets to be lifted almost like an astral body from the corporeal plane into this subtler, finer realm, where then once you're attuned to it, it can, carve its channels, and then the song is actually becomes the vehicle with which that emotional and astral body moves. So I like that. When ASMR became a thing, I liked equating it to that and be like, hey, that's kind of like what the shamans are doing, like shamans coming around with 2 pieces of paper being like,
yeah, that sounds like them shamans. Yeah, you did a great little piece, little auditory explosion. Not explosion. It was yeah. It was a pleasant auditory experience that you released on your Patreon. I forget what you titled it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think that's the it's called something about the mystery, something about the secret. The secret cannot be contained, or something like that.
Yes, yeah.
It's actually
how do you get to your Patreon, by the way?
Patreon. You take a left at Facebook, and then you go right past PayPal. Yeah, it's patreon.com/voiddenizen. Void Denizen. Yeah,
we're gonna see if we can get there, because the other day I couldn't get. Someone told me that they couldn't find me. They couldn't find me.
Weird. Well, yours is tricky because Micadelic, it has an A. It's Mike-a-delic, and originally I thought it was Micah-delic, but then I realized that's why the pyramid is the A in the center of it. So I had to condition myself. Maybe that's the issue. But that piece is a short piece that's part of a larger piece. But what I try to do is, once I soundscape a little piece that can stand alone, I like to share that nowadays instead of holding on to everything. And I think there's a few pieces like that. There's one that was called The Man in the Jungle, which is similar. It's kind of like a portrait of the shaman with the kind of soundscape around it. And that one actually has some of the original audio of the shaman singing his Icaros worked into it near the end as well. But yeah, I really love that realm. There's also a cartoony element to it, I've noticed in these ceremonies, where, for instance, when somebody stands up and walks to the garden to pee or something like that, the shaman will kind of, or one of the shamans, if there's multiple, will take on this sort of sonic pantomime, like the shamanic charades quality, where their sound follows the movement of the person, like getting up, walking out, and then coming back. So it's like, like it really like goes a lot, like it marries everything in the room to give a kind of like sonic reflection. I think in that piece about the secret can't be contained, I described the sound of the jungle as this kind of the secret
tattling on itself or telling itself while at the same time obscuring itself, and it becomes like the sound becomes a secondary silence, and it becomes like a reflection of the earth in the sky. And I feel like that's what they're doing with this soundscape, is they're creating a sonic analog with what's going on in the room. So even when you're like eyes closed and in your own realm, you can sense, just like if you can like sense somebody looking at you when you're not looking, or you can feel somebody enter the room, it has a sonic equivalent of that married to the motion.
Yeah. I mean, and just you explaining that too just brought me back to being in the jungle and going through that and doing that. It's so wonderful. It's just like, man, it gives me goosebumps. I mean, I didn't get goosebumps, but it would give me goosebumps if I got goosebumps.
I got leopard spots. It gave me leopard
leprosy.
spots. Yeah, my goosebumps fell off.
Yeah, it's magical. It's magical. Well, you have this way of really, you have a way with words. You have a way of really putting things, painting a picture in the mind with your words. But what is not but and what is like you would say the way that you really love to express yourself the most?
I mean, I described it to somebody today as this kind of like I have a lot of holes in me, like somebody just like shot all through me, and I have a lot of leaks of different expressions, you know. So it's really, all of it is equal in its expression, and it's really all just an exhuming of ideas, or an excavation of ideas, and an expressive exploration that's a communication with creation itself. You know, like I believe that the universe is self-created. I don't think that there was a creator outside of it that like bippity boppity boop that shit.
Well,
you know?
This show is actually sponsored by the creator, so
damn it.
Yeah.
I told myself
put in the code Micadelic
to...
for 20% off.
Creation.
Anyway, so
yeah,
the world,
but that it's
formed.
like that it's self-created, that creation is creation's own creation, and that by engaging creation, you have a conversation with that. Actually, I kind of borrowed the terminology from Lee McCloskey, who's an incredible visual philosopher, as he puts it, where he said something like, by using the tools of creation, we get to engage creation, not to find answers, but to engage the mystery of it. So definitely language is, of course, like the most commonplace way that you can take it anywhere. You can use it in any way, shape, or form. Like you could use it at the gas station when you're paying for your gas, you know, you could use it in any kind of interaction and turn that into kind of like a poetic moment, or a moment of directing attention. But then also, you know, like the visual side of things that's another dimension of the expression in a way, or the musical side of it. And I feel like the way it all, like when I do my intros for the podcast, I bring in the musical element because I feel like the words alone, there's a dimension missing. So I always try to compensate in the same way that for instance, like tinnitus, or tinnitus, some people call it, when you have a ringing in the ear, that's really, there's a hearing loss taking place, and the brain compensates for that by, it's like, oh, hey, there's a silence there. Let me just fill that in with like, that'll do it. Here you go, human. I took care of you. And people are just like, fuck. So I try to do that. You know, I'm like, oh, people can't just listen to me talking. It has to have like a whole other world or dimension in there.
Well, yeah, but you don't say, but you're not doing it because of that. You're doing it because that's what you feel, right? Like you're like, yeah, all right, for absolutely. The intro.
I was just downplaying myself for a second.
Yeah,
there,
don't
but
downplay
yeah,
yourself. Yeah, because the one like what we did for my show, and you made that intro that you made was awesome, and I guess you were feeling a specific. You had an idea, and you're like, all right, I want to do this. Do you ever get an idea, and then there's something that you want to do, but you don't know how to do it, and then you have to figure out how to do it?
Well, that's what it always is.
It's
like
always
in that case. Yeah, I never know. I never know where I'm going. Like for instance, the episode before yours was when I had my sister on, and I had bought this little drum machine that I'd never really used it, or don't know really how to use it. So I was like, oh, I guess I'm going to implement it in this episode. I'm going to fuck around and see how that works and figure it out. You know, like I know how to listen and I know what feels right. So I just have to direct myself. And when something feels off, like sometimes I listen to it so many times and you notice what stands out if you're really paying attention, and then you just have to adjust that. So I learned how to use that in that one. And then in your episode, because when we were talking, we kind of went through this territory of your 11-gram experience and this like the realm of the trickster, the like self-transmogrifying inner world. And then I was relating that to my experiences with what I call the metronome metropolis. And that's like, for instance, that was a visionary experience that I've never been able to really give a place. And so I was like, well, why don't I make that intro an illustration of the metronome metropolis and of this self-transforming space? And I had some sense of what that would sound like. Like in the episode, I even talk about these different beings that would lord over different, let's say, buildings in this city. And they would have like a little sonic loop, and another one would have this like,
yeah.
And so I just started playing around with, you know, some synth sounds, which is another thing. Like I don't play keyboards or synths. I just have this little chart with some chords. And I was like, well, let's see how this chord sounds. Oh, this is kind of cool. And then what does that sound like? And when it sounds good, I'll build with it, you know? And then I was like, well, let's see how the little drum machine, how I can work with that to create this thing. And what I created is not necessarily how I experienced the original thing, but it gives a sense of that. And after a couple of listens, I was like, this is cool because it's feeding back to me an immersive space that people can step into. And then also because I put our conversation, the video of it, on my Patreon. So some people heard the conversation before the intro, and the intro is in a sense also an outro because it's the portrait, you know, it's the summary of the space we've explored. So it's cool that now people can listen to the conversation beforehand, and then when it comes into the public sphere, they can listen to it again, but with this summation. So it gives it a kind of more Ouroboran. It's not as Ouroboring, and it's a little more you know, I don't know where I was going with it, but
no, that's good. That's perfect. I got.
But it's always a figuring it out. Like I've learned to trust myself and my channel.
You've given yourself you've given yourself the tools, and you've surrounded yourself with, and you have the trust. That's the number one thing, right?
The trust is the big thing.
Yeah. Go into that, because I didn't mean to step all over you, but I was just wanted to point that out, that it seems like you get all the tools that you would want to have in your environment. And if you don't have the tools, then you will get them somehow, or you'll, figure something out.
Anything can do the trick.
Together.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I always work with what's around, and it's the trust thing is huge, and it's giving yourself permission to fail. If you have like this goal of like that there's a goal, or that you're doing it for something, or you're trying to like impress something or someone with something, you have to allow yourself to fail and allow yourself to play and to literally figure it out, to like take what's there and find a way to bring it outside of yourself. And it's really just like, it's trial and error. And a lot of it is also giving yourself permission to do it and put it out there before it's like, for instance, like I'm not a guitar player. Like when I had my bands before, I would oftentimes vocalize what I would want to hear, and then my musicians would find it on their instruments, and that's how I would compose these different parts and put them together and create these orchestral compositions without knowing how to play the instruments. And then like a year ago, I started teaching myself the guitar, and I immediately started implementing that into these intros. It's like, okay, I know 2 chords. I've got pretty good feel for like the finger picking. I can create a mood with very little, which is funny because my first band, for instance, my guitarist is an Israeli guitarist wizard. He came from like the school of Pink Floyd and Jimmy Page, closest thing to a David Gilmour that you'll find. Benny Langfer, amazing musician. If you check out his new band is called the Rabbit Hole Orchestra. If anybody wants to check that out, really cool stuff. And his stuff is very like intricate. Like he's like a Mozart, just like a lot of notes, a lot of chords, a lot of changes. But I'm going back to this place where even if I know 1 or 2 chords, I can create a mood with that. And that's all you need, is to be able to like amplify or exemplify the words and give them an extra dimension, and then you just have to have the sensitivity to feel that out. So I started immediately implementing that, and then the growth hopefully shows from episode to episode too, like the confidence that comes with it, and trying out something new. And like, sure, let's try out the synth that I don't really know how to go around with, also again with like 1 or 2 chords, what that can bring, or this drum machine, or like use my voice a certain way and try a different effect on it. And it's really just, it's play and exploration and figuring it out. And
and have you done that with a visual component to it as well?
For the podcast,
it just anything in general, in general, like creating a visual, audio, spoken word.
I mean to some degree. I mean, the films that I've made, or the music videos and things like that, those are all like largely storyboarded out and plotted out. And then there's also like an element of the unknown in that, like really just like preparation. I think Dennis Hopper used to say, it's really creation is 10% preparation and 90% improvisation. So it's really like it's just like a psychedelic experience. You can prepare yourself as much as you can, and then you step into the unknown, and beyond that you have to trust and keep your intentions straight and try to steer with that. So like what we were talking about earlier about pareidolia, my philosophy is that of void and imagination, which is to say the emptiness or the unspeakable, and then the imposition of an order onto that, or what I call the aleatoric organization, the chance-based organization.
Oh, that's the sponsor of your show, yeah.
Exactly. Well, it's not a sponsor, it's a trick, because I always say this show is made possible by the aleatoric organization, which it's not an organization, but it's the way that the algorithm of randomness organizes the world, and then in association with the divine design, which is our imposition of meaning or magnetization of meaning from that. So I believe that the world is random and chaotic, and that we have some preconceived notions or some expectations and intentions that we impose upon that. And from the dance of the random and the improvisational and the free association and our imposed order of, co-creation, really, we become the curator, the great curator, rather than the great creator. We get to curate through attention and patterning of perception how that dance goes about. So I forget what I was talking about, but that's my philosophy, and that's what brings my show. So there we go.
Yeah, that'd be great if everything that you've ever said, you immediately forget what you said, and you're just
it happens sometimes
because yourself.
Because the 10% of preparation is also like a lot of times I'm quoting myself or things that I've kind of programmed. And when I find myself getting into that space where I'm basically reciting my own script, sometimes I forget what it was in relation to. You know what I mean?
Do you have a tea spout nearby? Like, I thought you just
check it out
like this to go.
Check it out. This is my little. It's my little teapot, short
and
stout.
Nice. I like that.
And it's got a cup, and it's really nice. And
that's
you just
really,
put
really nice.
some water in it, and you go like that and bring it. Make a little music with the tea. See, like you can. That's a stupid example, but you can use anything. Like last night when I went on my little rain walk that I talked about briefly. Actually, can we just call this episode like Rain Man, because we talk about autism and walking in the rain?
Sure.
Brain Man, rain spotting, stain man. I went on this walk, and then about 3/4 of the way on this walk, I heard this drain, another one, rain, drain, brain, stain. The drain, there's this manhole cover. Is that what it's called? Manhole cover? That doesn't sound right. Butt plug. There was a giant butt plug.
Yeah, why do they call them that?
Manhole cover. That's the sheath underwear. Manhole covers.
That's right. 20% off, Micadelic.
20% off the holes. A little more exposure. There was this rusty old manhole, right, covering the sewage system, and the rain was being drained into it, and it rang and sang like a synth, man. I recorded like 2 minutes of it, and it really felt like there's like it was a single tone, but I recorded it because I was like, you can harmonize with that, you can pitch shift it. It's a soundscape.
Yeah.
And the more I'm making soundscapes, the more I recognize this. And that's, I think, also the magic of the world is if you really attune, that's what Be Here Now really is. It's, can you find moments of magic in the mundane? Like, what is that sound in the distance? Holy shit, it's the wind playing a fence post like a pan flute. You ever heard that? Where these fence posts and then the wind blows over it and you just hear it go. That's not what it sounds like. That sounded like monkeys. I shouldn't have tried to make an impression of it, but it's a beautiful thing if you can experience it in the wild.
Well, I know what you mean. And the other day I saw a YouTube video of how they made the sound effect for blasters in Star Wars, and there's a guy with a wrench on one of those like highly twined electric cables, you know, those big high power, high voltage type cables, and he takes the and he takes the wrench and he just bangs it on the cable, and it goes doo, doo, doo,
yes.
doo, pew, pew. And that's how they got the blaster sound. Yeah.
That's awesome. I remember being at the Okeechobee Indian Reservation here in South Florida in the early 2000s. And I'd taken some mushrooms with my girlfriend. And there was a moment in there where, like, once I'd kind of moved through the challenging portal, through the chrysanthemum, there was just this awareness of this strange communication radiating from the soil. Like everything was just like sun blasted and like full heavy metal expression of flowers just like fanning up from the ground like flames. And all around was this insect kingdom of, you know, like dragonflies and little bugs. And they were all making these little Star Wars zapping noises. Like, and it seemed like this miniaturized sci-fi world. And I, at some point, was fascinated by this beautiful metaphor in motion of a dead green machine, this little grasshopper that had been squashed at the thorax, and there were these streams of ants just trafficking towards it. So that first thing that came to mind is all life streams towards death, right? But what they were doing is they were picking it apart. It was like they were disassembling and reverse engineering this thing. And I was like, they're taking it to the ant shop, to the chop shop, and they're putting it back together. And I bet all these little Star Wars insects flying around here are actually manned by ants.
Wow. So cool. Manned
but it's
by
not
ants.
True. And then I remember telling somebody about that, and they had the best retort, the best question. They said, what about you? Are you manned by ants? No comments.
I was just gonna say, manned by ants. They don't have manholes. They have man ants.
That's right. If you don't have man holes, the ants will find a way in.
They'll find a way. They'll find a way to make.
Do you know who Peter Serafinovitz is?
Nope.
English comedian. He actually, you probably know him because nowadays he plays the Tick in the like reboot of the Tick. I don't know if you're a Tick guy. I'm not really a Tick guy, but I know he's in it. He had a show on it. Yeah, exactly. That's the cricket. That's the ticket. Sorry. I'm gonna repent for a moment.
We got grasshopper pots here. Grasshopper pots. What are we doing? $24.95 for a wing.
We had Dennis Hopper, Grasshopper, like it's all
Grasshopper,
connected.
Rain Man, Drain Man, Manhole, Man Ants, Man Hands.
Please just create a really long string of words for the title
Everything
with a subtitle that continues it.
Yeah.
But Peter Serafinovitz had a show called Look Around You, which was in the style of these like 1970s educational programs on the BBC. And it's hysterical. There's one episode about maths. Look around you. A lot of people don't know, but maths is actually an acronym that stands for Mathematical Anti-Teleharsic Harfatum Septonym. Like things like completely ridiculous, nonsensical things. The only reason I thought of him, and I should say this because otherwise people are like, why is this guy on about that? Like I haven't been just fully free associatingly flip-flopping around. I'm loving it. But he has a bit about ants, and then he says something like, he's like, thanks, ants. Fans. Just a little thing like that. That's
Thanks.
I just wanted to bring that out there. Thanks.
Hello.
Stupid, indulgent.
What's his name? Peter what?
Serafinovich. Just write down. Serafinovich.
Yeah, I'll write it down. Yeah.
S.E. Serafinovich.
Right.
There's a C-Z-S
I'm
somewhere.
imagining a David Attenborough kind of guy who's like, here we are.
No,
in
he
the
actually
world
is
of ants.
He actually does a great bunch of impressions of Al Pacino and a whole bunch of other people. He's a very gifted comic. He actually did a series on YouTube in the beginning of the Trump presidency where he had a series that was Sassy Trump, where basically he would take footage of Trump and he would re-record it all, but like with a sassy voice, but the exact same dialogue. And he had another one where it's like old documentary style, where it's like, now he's speaking like this, but he's still saying Mexicans are rapists and like this kind of thing. Just the change of the voice just like changed the whole feel of it. I don't know if he kept up with that, but brilliant guy. I think you would really appreciate him.
Yeah, that's the key. It's all about the feel of it, right?
I mean that's the difference between good art and bad art is the focus on cultivating the mood or is the focus on the technique.
Yeah, like
maybe that's not entirely true, but
this is what I don't get. I don't get like this. Look. That's art. Like the people that are like,
how much you want for that can you just stab with a pen?
The banana, I wanted to stab it through, but it didn't work. The banana with the duct tape on the wall, and then it's like art.
I actually just was talking right before, like an hour before we got on this call. I had a call with a Dutch like art agent lady as like a consultation that my sister gifted
Dutch
to me.
Art agent lady.
And she took, because I brought that up, the banana taped to the wall at Art Basel last year.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and she told me that she used to represent that guy in like 1990s in Milan, and that people were just like didn't care for him at all. And then that thing happened, but she was like, well, what he's doing, it's not so much about like soul excavation or about like a soulful art. It's really more about a statement and a satire and an ironic look at the art world and the mechanism that runs that machine,
Yeah.
So I think
that's
a different thing. But for me, like a good film, I can very quickly tell if it's good or not, obviously based on like the technical proficiency of the editing and things, but it has everything to do with the mood. Like a good director cultivates a particular mood, and it's not about anything else. Like if you can get away with like Blade Runner is a great example of that.
Blade Runner's like all mood
piece, man.
Yeah,
it's a mood piece.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And some people don't have that. It's just like somebody that doesn't have the visual imagination and they only see things in this kind of heady, disconnected, dissociative. I'm not trying to like badmouth your friend here. I'm just free associating off of the kind of mindset. Yeah. This son of a bitch
is sponsored by badmouthing your friends.
This son of a bitch is just cut off from his body and from his emotional resonance and is just completely dissociating into this lexical intellectual realm where I can't see the world as it is anymore and the potential of what it could be and the mood, the emotion, the feeling, it's gone. I tell you, it's drained away. I got none of it.
I'm so sorry for your friend. I hope he finds his way.
New segment. This is a new segment on the show. We will badmouth your friend, or we will feel bad for your friend.
We will badmouth your friend and then repent.
And then repent for your friend. Send us $24.99 to.
And we will repent for your friend. We will completely run him through the ringer, and then afterwards we will completely Hail Marys. We do Our Fathers. We put coins in the wishing well. Once blind, now can see all of it.
Wait, what was that? I was once blind, but now I can see.
That was in Schwarzenegger's recent address to the nation, right? He's like, when I grew up in Austria, I saw a lot of Nazis. But now I'm blind, now I can't see. But then they stormed the Capitol and they said, we want to get in. We want to get in, and they said, "No, you can't." I don't know. I'm gonna leave the Schwarzenegger.
All right, so let's rewind that and go back to.
I'm gonna leave the Schwarzeneggers to you.
Okay. So you were saying you don't want to badmouth my friend, but
Oh yeah, no, just we're talking about being cut off from.
to that point.
Yeah. So your friend going not to be mad the guy. Yeah. So no, it was. Yeah, the whole thing was that it was about mood and emotion and not having the, not being tapped into the feel of it. It's all about the. It's all about the feel of it. It's all about the feel of it. That's what
it's got to evoke a feeling.
That's right.
Yeah, that's why I don't.
Same with music. It's mood based.
Mood. Everything is mood based. Yeah.
And I failed at times. We all fail at times. That's why we, when we promote ourselves, we try to put our best foot forward. Our mood foot. Our moodiest crystal slipper goes forward.
Well, do you when you promote stuff or you put stuff out there on social media or share things, are you do like that? That's what I do. I do it based on like I feel like doing this right now.
Yeah.
I can't. I can't really be like, oh, this has to go out or this. I don't know.
Sometimes
everything is a feeling for me. Yeah.
Sometimes I do like let's say I'm in a really productive mode and I'm just like cranking out a series of something. Like for instance, for a little while there, near the end of my stay in LA, I was going through some pretty deep, dark, introspective excavations, and what was coming out were these what do they call them, like something sigil selfies, which were, I had just shaved the sides of my head, so I just had like this kind of like self-esteem punk faux hawk going for me, and I was just like doing these like kind of self-portraits, some of them with a mirror, some of them without, just kind of like an estimation of what it looked like. And then I was surrounding them with words and sigils in order to kind of create a portrait of self-reflection and self-deprecation and all this stuff. And I was creating like one a day, a couple a day, and I had to pace myself. I was like, okay, I'm going this day, I'm going to do one, I'm going to do the next one. I try not to flood the feed because I do understand that much, that you want to keep people hungry. You want to keep, especially when it's a series, there's an expectation that comes, and to really like, again, pacing, it's just like mood. I mean, it's all kind of like a sensual thing, right? It's like engaging things from a seductive perspective, like teasing it, giving it a little bit, not just coming out there and be like, check it all out, slapping it on the table and being like, check it out, guys. I'm flipping, I'm flopping, I'm loving it. Third time I brought that in. I'm going to see if I can bring it in for a fourth time.
Did you just watch that recently?
Nope. That's one you can't unsee.
The only thing between him and us is a thin layer of gabardine.
Is that from that episode?
That's from that episode, yeah.
Really?
Jerry's like, do you know what this means, Elaine? She's like, what? He's like, that means the only thing between him and us is a thin layer of gabardine.
I had no idea what gabardine a fabric or a brand?
I have no idea. Still to this day, I have no idea.
Look it up quick.
There's always been like Seinfeld things, because I started watching Seinfeld when I was like 13, and I didn't fully get it all, but I still, and there's still things to this day that they've said in the show, like he's like, I like Prel, the hard stuff, or what do you jump out of the car? What are you, Mannix? Like I don't.
Is it lupus? That's what
lupus,
I bring up a lot because of COVID.
Yeah.
COVID?
Yeah.
Is it COVID?
Yeah.
Here, I found it. Gabardine, a smooth, durable, twill-woven cloth, typically of worsted or cotton. Worsted? Now I got to look up worsted. And then here, British, a raincoat made of gabardine.
But
historical,
it's funnier.
A loose, long upper garment worn particularly by Jewish men. All right, can we change the title? Can we change the title of this to The Gift of Gabardine?
Yeah, we can do that.
A gift of gabardine. Because it's a raincoat. And I was talking about walking through the rain and the brain,
because
the brain and the stain.
When we were living in the East Village, they had the gabardine raincoats. You had to put them on.
Mike, you can't do Jewish humor because it's deprecating and it can only... Oh, by all means, go ahead.
Look at my 23andMe. So
check it out. Actually, I'm only 6% circumcised, 6% hits. You see that? That's quite quite something.
I said you leave that 94% on there. So
that's what Dennis Grasshopper once said. He said, "It's it's about it's about 6% preparation, and the rest of it is foreskin."
Yeah. He said, why are you so good at acting? They only took 6% of my foreskin. So
yeah, that's it. She had enough to get into the market, to appeal to the industry and still appeal to the mass. I love Dennis Hopper, by the way. Can we just
Dennis
take a
Hopper's
moment?
amazing. Yeah, of
He's
course.
the best. He's a great
Blue Velvet
filmmaker. He's an art collector too. He directed, he wrote. He was part of that great triad or quartet of Nicholson, Hopper, Fonda, and Dern. If you want to throw Dern in there too. Dern.
Yeah, Bruce Dern.
I can try to do a Bruce Dern, but it's basically just based off of Jim Carrey's Bruce Dern impression. Probably not very good. It's just mostly just this thing of the face.
It's just the face, yeah.
There's that scene in the Trip, which is a movie written by Jack Nicholson, starring Hopper, Dern, and
The Trip.
Fonda. Oh, it's so good, man.
Oh, I never saw it.
Peter Fonda goes on his first ever LSD trip, and he gets the stuff from Dennis Hopper, and Bruce Dern is the trip sitter. And then there's the scene where he kind of freaks out, and Dern comes up and he goes, "What's the matter? What's the matter?" And he goes, "The living room. The living room."
Yeah.
It's a great. I love that movie.
Oh, all right, I got to see it. The Trip.
Worth checking out. Yeah.
I have a thought.
I like going back to old movies.
Yeah, I have a thought that's popping back from. We just took like 75 different speedway directions, but the Gabardine. Gabardine is funnier. It's a funnier word than had he said. Because I was thinking in my mind, why would they say that? Why would they choose that? I don't even know what that is. We didn't know what that was, but it's a funnier word than cotton. The only thing between him and us is a thin layer of cotton. It's like, no, Gabardine.
The specificity is where the comedy really concretizes or cottonizes. And also, we learned something.
Yes.
This is the greatest advice for anybody that wants to expand their consciousness is to, if you don't know a word, look it up. Because it literally... This is the thing that I keep bringing up nowadays, is that mind is made of media, by which I mean to say that consciousness is a kind of symbol-mediated interface, and any language, any medium, like words, visual media, music, whatever it is that can impose a pattern upon the world and then grasp and relay that, is the fabric of consciousness. And when you learn the meaning of a new word, your mind literally expands its perceptive and communicative modalities. So if you don't know what, for instance, modalities means, or communicative, or consciousness, look it up, and there's rabbit holes you can go through. Go through rabbit holes and stuff. Sometimes you gather many rabbits, sometimes you get away. You know how it goes with rabbits and rabbit holes.
I was just contemplating ending the show right there. Just like you, like smattering off, like
just going, meandering off, and
just keep meandering on just meander on tangents, and then slowly fade away.
And that's the show for us today. As the guest is slowly draining his mind. We're back in here. Encore. This show is brought to you by Gabardine.
Yeah. Gabardine, go be pristine in a new pair of sheath underwear. Fantastic.
Perfect ending.
Should we end it?
No, it's up to you, man. I mean, I got nowhere to be. But it is getting hot, so I'm going into slop mode from here on with taking the jacket off. This is like the green room, the after party. You know what I mean? It's,
yeah. Let's do that. Maybe we'll do this as the bonus segment or something. But cool, yeah.
Isn't it all bonus? I mean, the video is all bonus, I guess. But
yeah.
Am I your first recurring guest on Mycadelic, or have there been other
No, I've had recurring
personas?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there was a guy. I had a guy, Ed, who was a recurring guest, but I had to kill
a guy, Ed. Hey, the guy Ed's back. Ed Gein.
No, there was a guy
turned
named
his mother into a table.
Yeah, there was a guy named Ed who ran a podcast called Psychedelic Milk, and he was based out of Hong Kong, and he just decided to stop doing the show and kind of being more of a meme person. And I mean, he's cool. I should catch up with him actually now that I think about it. But yeah, but I've had other people recurring. I actually just recorded with Matt from Matt Zian.
I recorded with him. Like I was on his show that should be coming out at some point. We had a good conversation too, if I recall correctly. It's hard to tell sometimes, man.
You better recall correctly.
Yeah, well, it's such a qualitative judgment that sometimes I'm in a conversation and I really enjoy it, and then I listen back to it and I'm just like, I just cringe at hearing my own voice, or at how I've articulated things, or at how I'm trying to appeal to an audience, or like trying to be funny. Or I just see through my bullshit. You know what I mean? I see through my charade and my hunger for validation. And sometimes also it's like,
yes,
you know, like sometimes it feels like I had this really engaging conversation where everything felt like, wow, we really covered a lot of terrain. And then like a month later, I finally get around to listening back to it. And I'm just like, oh, fuck, why didn't I shut the fuck up right there and just listen to what the person had to say? Like, oh, like it could have gone that direction, but I had to like bombard with my this and that, you know? So probably this episode was very ADD. I already know that. I did not try to steer it too much. There's moments when it opens up. I think it's also like, especially using this as a case study, like we went into it very playful and rambunctious just to stir things up. Yeah. And then at times it settles into a vibe, and then it kind of like spins back out, you know, like, so it's nice to see kind of like that switch up. Like I just had some episode, I recorded one with Ramin, which I think is very much in this style, like very ADD and kind of all over the place. And then I did one with Anthony Peake, the Cheating the Ferryman guy. And that one I think is probably very like honed in and like much more serious, still with its own sense of charm. But, and I'm always like, I'm worried. I worry all the time, Mike. I just worry. And I worry that somebody's going to come in on an episode and think that it's always going to be like that. I'm like, this intro has to be the best one yet, because what if this is the first one they hear? And they're like, I don't know if this is for me. It's like, I love it. And then they don't want to see the next one, or they hear another one. And they're like, you know what I mean?
That's really interesting. I've never really thought about that before. But I know exactly what you're talking about, because I experienced that too. I just released, I've been doing these like dosadelic shows that I'm calling them, and it's on my Patreon, and it's just basically what it is. It's just it's just me having more of an outlet for comedy, and just doing like an hour long or hour and a half show with a friend of mine who's the co-host producer, and we're doing it live. Like we have a little like studio space in Denver that we just got. So I'm like looking forward to putting together this thing, and it feels really good. And so I've been putting it on Patreon because I'm still like testing it out. You know, I'm like testing it out for my patrons and seeing like, okay, like, because if I take this if the next episode is this episode that I just put out on Patreon, people are going to be like, what the fuck? Like, where did this go? Like, this just went into a totally different direction.
Well, I think Patreon is good for that in the sense that it gives us a platform to plug people into more like the process than the product. You know what I mean? Like, it's more like you can get experimental. You can try things out, because you know these are people that have signed up because they already like what you do. They want more of it. So you're going to show them a little more skin.
Right.
You know, I mean, they've already got more skin in the game, so you're going to show them a little more something, and then hopefully they'll give you feedback on it.
It's a great community of people that can be there, because you want to have support from your like artist and creator friends, right? Like your peers, people being like, you know, you that's a level of support that feels good. And then your core fans, they love and support what you do. That feels really good, but you don't want them to be the yes men either. You want them to be the people that tell you it is.
I want pushback, man. And like, I'm somebody that I like to give pushback or feedback, even sometimes when it's unsolicited, and I have to stop myself. Sometimes I realize if it's unsolicited.
Welcome it, by the way. Yeah.
Good. You're a total piece of shit, Mike. I'm kidding. You're great. I sometimes I'll find myself, because this is another reason why I think a show like this is so ADD and hyperactive, is because of the isolation element. That
Sponsored
just like talking to you,
yeah,
just knowing that I can kind of like let these different facets of myself run free after they've been cooped up for God knows how long, just, you know, in the limited social sphere that I'm in. So it creates more of like tension release, and I'm sure it's entertaining for people, but it's also like scatterbrained and insane, and but it's good vibes.
Scatterbrained
there was a point. There was
insane,
a point
down the drain
in the membrane,
stained art in the membrane, art fart, Pierre
Maynard.
All right, yeah, Maynard Keynes.
But yeah, there was a point to that. So sometimes I find that too, where I like to impulsively comment on things I see online, like posts and things like that, because it's another
impulsively comment.
Yeah. Oh, Logan. It's another avenue of expression. You know, it's like, okay, here somebody posted something, a meme, something they've made, a piece of art. I can comment on it in whatever way to give it my flair. No, I don't tear anybody down, but it's
memes
like
that make me angry.
Sometimes I'll have like a comedic or a witty response, and I'll start typing it out, and then this little thing shows up, and it's like, why are you doing this? Like, what? You don't need to say anything. Just you don't even need to do this, you know? So I've tried to be more selective, because it's a sense of loneliness and a sense of searching for validation and a platform of expression in a time when immediacy is so fleeting and scarce.
This podcast is brought to you by immediacy.
It's scarce, so the price has gone up. Are you looking for more immediacy? Then come to us and we will
get it now. Had it now. Get it later. Get it later. Before. Get it in the past, in the present, in the future. Now. Before. Then. Here. Be here. Now. Then.
Be here now. Then. In the future. Before.
Yeah. Now. Then, my boy. Yeah. I mean, I know exactly what you're talking about. You're speaking my language, man. That's exactly what it is.
The language of insecurity and uncertainty. Oh boy.
No, it's the language. It's the language of the creator, though. I mean, I think that everybody goes through that when you're creating something. You're creating something and you want it to be a particular way, and you want other people to appreciate it in unique ways that maybe you haven't thought of before, and then they can tell you about it.
Yeah, well, I want people. They don't even have to.
And that's
appreciate
it. That's all you want. You want that, and that's it.
We figured it out. It's not even that I need them to appreciate it. I want it to be entertained. Ideas to be entertained or to be weighed in different ways. Like for people even to see, like, where is this coming from? Like oftentimes my words are like kind of, I use a kind of riddled language because it shows the play in interpretation that's possible. But oftentimes people lock on a certain thing and it might get misunderstood or not. A lot of times it also doesn't, but sometimes it does. But yeah, just trying to like not as impulsively let every little thing fly. I'm like, I don't need to always, you know, like the old acronym THINK. It's like, is it thinkative? Is it Hinkelneuf? Is it like Harfatum, Septonum maths? Right, you know, is it useful? Is it kind? Is it all this stuff? You know, I don't know what it stands for. Think.
I know.
Before you do it, that's the thing. But what they don't put in there, is it funny? That one's important too. Sometimes you just want to share something because it's funny. So we call it the think. We'll put that one in there. Funny is in there now too. Yeah.
Well, this is why I like I want to do more recurring guest type shows, because I think there's a rapport that you can create, and there's also things that happen spontaneously. Like this is a different show than the show that we did before.
Yeah.
And then
No,
the show
totally,
that
because it's
very, very different. And then when we do another one, it's going to be very different as well. But it's not like
I
we're
was
going to
sleep deprived that time, and I'm caffeinated this time. So,
right.
but also
Yeah.
there was more formality. We've had some more experience between us under our belt. We kind of know where we can take things, or the different facets we can bring to expression to the foreground. Totally.
Yeah, it's going to be a mood piece, though. I think
Do you have? Yeah, there you go.
That's what
Do
it
you
is.
know?
Yeah.
In your podcast, because I, for instance, in my pod, I'm trying to hatch particular ideas that I'm trying to refine conversationally by interacting with guests and things like. Do you have a particular thing that you're trying to unearth, or a particular intention that you steer through your program, or is it mostly just you just want to converse with people, see where it goes? It's a much more like open-ended manhole.
Yeah, the latter. Yeah, I'm a manhole-adelic.
Yeah, an open-handed ended manhole being played by the wind like a pan flute.
I just go out in my garden, I bend over and I spread my manhole, and whatever
Welcome to
wind
another
comes
episode
in-
of Asshole mio. Yeah.
No, really. I mean, that's why I do. A couple things that you said. One of them was when I was doing stand up, someone said to me, because I remember being new to something, you're always like trying to figure it out. So it'd be like talking shop with other comics that have been doing it for years before me, and one of them was like, yeah, I think he told me that another comic said not Conan O'Brien,
Conan McFadden.
Colin Quinn. He said
Colin
Quinn
Quinn.
said, yeah, he's like, you should always feel like a fraud when you leave the stage. Like you always have that feeling of feeling like you just kind of sold out a little bit, or you did, because that means that you're taking a risk, you're taking a chance, you're doing something that's uncomfortable, you're thinking about it, and if you're not thinking about it, then you don't care. If you don't care, then you're stale, then you're stagnant, then you're not innovating, you're not moving forward. So there's always something that you feel that you should feel uncomfortable with doing.
That hit me right in the trauma, man. That it made me think of when Benny Langford, who I mentioned earlier, the guitarist, when we first got together and started playing music, like that wasn't my outlet. That wasn't like where I was comfortable. But I got up on stage very early on to perform as the vocalist and frontman of this band in ways like I wasn't comfortable with my voice or with that persona, but I did it. And all the way to the end of that career, I felt like an imposter in the world because I didn't play the instruments. I got out there. I didn't feel like. Oftentimes afterwards, when people would come up to me and they're like, "Hey, man, your performance, that was amazing," or one time somebody said, "Your like my stage presence would be likened to like I'd get like things like Jim Morrison, probably just because I had really long hair like him, like the Sagittarian waviness, or like that'd be like the best one was like David Byrne mixed with Maynard James Keenan, who are both huge influences on me. So it was like they would be like, "Oh man, it was amazing. It reminded me of this or this and this," and I always felt like they had witnessed or experienced something that I wasn't there for, because while I was in there, I was just like being played or doing the thing and just trying to get through it. And everybody had experienced something that I hadn't, and I would feel disconnected afterwards, and I'd feel vulnerable and like an imposter, really. Which I guess if Colin Quinn is my measuring stick, then I did great apparently.
Yeah, I would say so, because I would also feel in stand up, I would go and I would do the same jokes a lot of the times if I was doing club sets. I want to do really well, so I'm going to do the stuff that I know works, and so I would just do that. That was like my set, and after a while, like people come up to you and they're like, "Oh man, that joke was so funny. That was really good," and I'm just like, yeah, like, whatever. Like I've just said this now 100 times, and I don't care, and it doesn't mean anything to me anymore. So, but it's like, okay, but now it's like, now it's boring. It's kind of boring. So I have to force myself to go to a different place, to do something else, access something different. And then it's like, then you're out there going like, and then I'm like, what the hell was that?
Just to see if it jives or what.
Just to see what sticks. But you have to take that chance, otherwise you never know. So having people that support you in that endeavor is really helpful.
Did you feel that support in the comedy community?
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
The comedy community is very. I remember my first open mic I went to. It was like a funeral. Like, I was like, this is fucking insane, because comics hate other comics.
I went to one open mic in LA where for a second I was like, because Margaret Cho had told me when I asked her for advice to like where to go, what to do, she was like, why don't you just take the Void Denizen persona, take it, yeah, exactly, take it to like open mics and just like see how it goes. And I was like, all right, I'll try that out. So I went to this open mic, and it was just an awful experience, because it felt like a funeral, because there was no pulse in the room, because everybody was just like waiting for their turn and then leaving. And there was like no support. And it felt like I was a preacher up there trying to defibrillate the pulse in the room, which I thought, like, if I do this again, I'm going to use that as a joke to like turn this vibe on itself. But that never happened, because it was just, I just never liked the vibe. And I felt exactly that, like, comics hate other comics unless they've already established, and then they're kind of like chummy sort of vibe, right? Like that it's already like in an inner sphere. But when you're at like the lower levels or whatever, unless you can immediately like elicit a laugh, it feels a lot like you're saying, like, let's try this thing, what if we do this, or like this outrageous thing. Where I'm very aware now of like the first part of what we recorded today, when I was wearing my fancy jacket, and it was very much the show, whereas now as soon as I took it off, we're in the green room, and it's like much more about the vulnerability of what we've just exemplified as a kind of, like trying to appeal to, or trying to get a certain response, but also just having fun, of course.
But also
we're not having fun anymore now, right? Like this now, it's like getting into the therapy part of the show.
Yeah. when we were talking before, and I'm just saying about how I feel in this space now, and I don't feel as held in this space with you, Michelangelo.
I just did the snorting thing, and something got up my nose. Like when you're in the pool and you snort some of the water. That's where the happy comes in.
This episode is brought to you by the little bit of water that you snort in your nose.
Brought to you by underwear, by Hoppe, by a little bit of water in your nose. It's brought to you by rain, by brains, by stains. It's brought to you by manhole covers. It's brought to you by the Aleatoric Organization. Brought to you by, this show has been brought to you by this show.
Yeah. Let's do a song where it's just all sponsors.
This show brought to you by
Squarespace, Old Spice, and other things.
Circular Space is not welcome on this show.
Yeah, when I was doing comedy, there was a place where you could go where all the new comedians who were doing open mics could have fun together and just do their jokes and make each other laugh. But the danger of that is that you wind up like staying in this little bubble. So you get the fun, you get the love, you get the laughs, you get the support, but you never break out of that room. You never break out of that scene. You never go to those uncomfortable places. You're always playing to the same audience and the same crowd. So it was always awkward because, sure. And I think a lot of like I was doing check spots pretty early on, which is like they hand out the bill.
Oh, like Russian theater?
I was doing
check. I'm done check spots? Oh no, it's Chekhov. Never mind.
Yeah, Chekhov. I was doing
Chekhov at comedy clubs, and people didn't understand it.
I was checking people out in the back. They were like, "Where's your ticket?" I was like, "I'm just checking out." So I was doing the spots where they drop the bill, like where they give the bill to people to pay, and then I would come on because I was like 4 months into comedy or 5 months into comedy, So it's kind of like a big deal because a lot of people don't go to those club spots like right away. And then I would go to the open mics where everybody was just doing the jokes for the open mic crowd, for the people there. And I was trying to work on my material to bring to the club. And it was like, people were looking at me like, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you performing for us? You know? And I'm like, all right, well, thanks. See you later.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt that's kind of why I left San Francisco too, is I felt so socially supported that it didn't mean anything anymore. It's like, it's the same, you play for the same people, you know, everybody already accepts you and likes you. And I wanted to like challenge that. I wanted to see what happens when you take me out of that situation and what's left of it. And LA sure showed me there's nothing left of it. It just strips you down to the bare bones, man, until you're just a skeleton of yourself, just a shadow of yourself, and you end up in South Florida taking care of your dad who has Alzheimer's, who has also forgotten who you are, and you truly become nobody. Nobody. That was an excellent gulp. That was a great gulp.
Yeah, that was a good ASMR gulp.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's
ASMR gulp, another great title. That was a fake gulp, but that one earlier, that was like a verklempt. Is that what they call it? When you verklempt, and then you feel like a good verklempt gulp. It's like an gefilte fish.
So you don't have like a community down there then?
Oh no, I haven't had, like in LA, I didn't have a community either. A community is something that's really virtually scattered. Like I feel it's mostly mediated through the web and stuff like that. I'm very much a little dandelion puff adrift in the world, looking for a place where I feel I belong, where everybody knows your name. Hey, it's the Ungoogleable Michelangelo. My real name, where people know my real name.
Is that the Ungoogleable Michelangelo?
I loved you on patreon.com/voiddenizen.
Well, I think the kind of things that we're doing, like here with the kind of podcast that we had, and you know, you gotta be live for that, really. I think that it works. We're making it work, but there's little pauses, there's little sorry, what did you say? Okay, you know, but when you're live, you know, when I'm in the physical 3D meat space, it's a easier vibratory frequency.
You have something to feed off. There's an audience to feed off of, and things like that. Hold on a second. What I challenge you to do is to take this episode, and whenever there's a funny moment, to put fake laugh tracks into it, and awkward moments, put crickets the whole way through. See how that plays out. Okay. It could be amazing.
Maybe I'll do that. Yeah, I'm gonna do that right now. It's actually really exciting. Yeah, I've been playing around with little audio type things in the tracks, like in the one I just released on my Patreon. It's got a little audio.
Nice.
Sparklings throughout.
I saw that's available at the lowest tiers. Even people can access that. The newest for a limited time only.
For a limited time only, yes.
All right. Yeah. Well, if anybody listens to this for a limited time only, for only $1, you can buy into the Mikeadelic Patreon and listen to his latest Dosadelic.
There you go.
And while you're at it, why don't you go to the MikeBrank.com shop/art and pick yourself up some underwear for your manhole.
All right, maybe we should wrap it there. But yeah, actually, people should go to your page. I'm a patron of yours now.
Yes, you are. Well, now that I know that I can access at the $1 rate the Dosadelics, I might become a
but I didn't become a Patreon of yours, so you can become a Patreon of mine, and then we can just
I know, we're just passing the buck back. We're just patronizing Patreon, basically.
Yeah.
Definitely. Passing a buck between us, and just the rest of us.
I became a Patreon of yours because I just said, well, I'm poor. I'm a poor, not starving artist, but I like what this kid's doing here, and I
appreciate it.
I
try to be very generous with my patrons. I try to give.
Also, boost the number.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's the thing too. Is like the more that's there, the more that's gonna be there. But yeah, if people want to find me, the ungoogleable.com will get you there, or patreon.com/voiddenizen, or follow me on the Instagram at void_denizen. Go on to Twitter at voiddenizen, or on TikTok at the ungoogleable. It's one or the other, and maybe an underscore thrown in somewhere. You figure it out.
That'd be great for next time to pre-record that, and as we're leaving, we'll just have a freeze frame and we'll like motion it in like the old Japanese films dubbed.
The Stuart Davis Patreon pitch is still the best damn pitch I've ever heard. Remember that?
Was that in the beginning or
sexy
at the end?
Stuart Davis, voluptuous Stuart Davis.com, sensual Stuart Davis.patreon. He's just throwing so much meditative splendor into it, and it's just brilliant.
Is that the beginning or the end of the?
I think I threw it at the end of my episode because I wanted people to hear that because I thought it was so brilliant. But he puts different ones at the end of his video transmissions. I don't think he's been doing that on his Aliens and Artists podcast, but that's also a good one to check out for people. I support that guy in his endeavors.
Check him out.
Cool, dude. Awesome. When do you think this one will be hitting the shelves?
Probably if I'm gonna do editing to it, that's probably gonna be like 2 weeks.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So in the post-Trump era, it'll hit.
Yeah, post-Trump. Yeah.
Yeah, the first Biden episode. Oh, it's gonna be great.
We'll call it Stain Drain Swamp. No,
that's not. Yeah, Stain Drain the Stain Swamp.
Now I have to go back and listen to all the title suggestions.
There's gonna be something in there that's gonna be worth. There's gonna be lots of good little clips you can also like throw out. I don't know if I'm sure there's gonna be some real gems in there.
Cool, man. Well, it's always a pleasure spending time with you.
Likewise, man.
Yeah,
thanks for checking in.
We'll talk again soon. Peace. End transmission.
That's the one. Yeah, there you go.